Masculinity is considered a cuss word in the modern era, with more and more people now swearing by feminism as the way to go. In fact, modern society prefers men emasculating themselves to ensure that women's power becomes the future of humanity. Unfortunately, this has led to incredible frustration, and the art of masculinity has begun to die down. However, masculinity is still the most powerful way for men and women to find attraction. You see, the ideal relationship consists of a woman in her natural feminine state, while men should be in the polar opposite state of masculinity. Unfortunately, the world is making masculinity a toxic thing, with only a few people like Dr. Jordan Peterson leading a new renaissance. Today, we look at why masculinity is so important and why it doesn't matter what anyone else says, because masculinity is not toxic. We will reveal 7 powerful masculine secrets that make any woman instantly attracted to you. But first, we need to understand why masculinity isn't toxic. Why toxic masculinity is a lie. Look at any left-leaning person and you'll find that toxic masculinity is the #1 theme when you discuss men. You see, these people believe that things should be handed to them, even when they didn't earn it. In fact, when a man builds himself up to something and doesn't want to give it away or forces others to work for what they deserve, it's called toxic. Men who tend to date multiple women, seeking the ideal partner, is also considered toxic. But without masculine men, society would cease to exist. You see, masculinity also comes with a tinge of pride attached to it, which is why countries like the United States have flourished for the better part of the last century. Additionally, women are considered a strong gender, but they're not designed to be protectors and providers, another trait that masculine men tend to embrace. Masculinity is a healthy thing that balances out all the weaknesses associated with femininity. On the other end of the spectrum, femininity will once again balance out masculine men as well. The world's about balance, and you need to have those strong and powerful, gutsy men willing to sacrifice themselves, endure pain, and build things from the ground up to ensure society can actually survive. Now, there are instances where men become toxic, but this is not toxic masculinity. You see, masculinity should never be construed as toxic, and these men often behave in the ways they do due to weak emotional capabilities, which is not part of masculinity. By pure definition, masculinity is a man who respects those around him, abides by the logical rules of society, and tends to work hard to survive in this tough world. He takes responsibility for his actions and decisions and makes sacrifices that tend to further himself, his family, or the world as a whole. One of the best examples of this would be a man by the name of Ronald Reagan. Now, masculinity is innately attractive for women, and whether she admits it or not, there's something very attractive about a man who can carry himself and do what is right. Today, we explore the 7 powerful masculine secrets that any woman finds attractive. And the good news is that you can begin to learn these masculine traits for yourself. Number 1, emotional control. The most important masculine trait that every man needs to know and understand when they're dating is that of emotional control. You see, men are notorious for never sharing their emotions, especially when it comes to talking to women. Now, we don't recommend that men crop up all their emotions and burst into a blaze of glory, but rather exhibit complete emotional control around women and strangers. Men must stop for a moment and determine whether an emotional outburst would empower them or simply make them weak. In most cases, men will find that it's not worth having an emotional breakdown and that it could do significantly more harm than good when it comes to relationships. You see, men need to have the inner power and will to overcome some of the most frustrating issues that life can conjure up, which is called protecting themselves and their families. On the flip side, we now find men who cannot even handle rejection from women. They tend to overreact, become angry, and lash out at women. On top of this, these men tend to resort to the passive-aggressive trends that most women seem to engage in, which is when they push someone away before pulling them back in. Unfortunately, this is one of the weakest situations a man can find himself in. And aside from seeming incongruent, it also means that he'll not be able to stand strong when the real troubles of the world arise. Ideally, you want to be the kind of man who women can depend on, especially in the modern world. One of the most important tips we can give you is to stop and think before reacting. You see, the human brain often allows emotions to respond to something much faster than logical reasoning, and this has become a massive weakness in the armor of the modern man. By simply taking a few moments to stop and think, you're more likely to realize that reacting in such a way will make you look weak, and simply walking away with dignity is much better. Number 2, speaking your mind in a respectful manner. Another secret of the masculine man that very few people often understand is how they communicate. You see, it's better to be clear and precise with your speech. If you're not precise in what you say, you shouldn't be disappointed in how others misinterpret what you mean. By nature, women want people to read between the lines and know what they imply when they say things. But the masculine man tends to be direct in his communications, and he tends to directly speak his mind when he talks. This is something that has died down as passive-aggressive humans are slowly taken over. You see, when a truly masculine man likes a woman, he doesn't have an issue making a move or directly telling her this. The reason is that he now knows where he stands, and if she rejects him, it is what it is, and he's simply just going to continue living his best life. To add to this, masculine men also address situations as they arise. One of the best examples can be found in how men can fight with each other one moment, but the next moment they seem like best friends. If this had been women, you'd find they're completely passive-aggressive, ignoring each other, which is innately weak behavior. As a man, you need to make sure that those around you know where they stand, and you also need to know where you stand with others. By mastering this, you can slowly earn the respect of others. You see, life is not about how many people like you. People might not always like you, but as long as they respect you, you have won. Number 3, chasing excellence. One thing you need to realize about driven men who are looking to improve themselves is that these men have an unmatched drive that no one can even think about competing with. You see, these men are not driven by the money or the fame, but rather to build a legacy for themselves and their families, or even a purpose. One of the most essential things about masculinity is having the power to seek a greater purpose and try to change the things you don't like. Many weak men nowadays tend to sit back and all they simply do is complain about everything that doesn't go their way. But one of the biggest secrets of the masculine man lies in what it is that naturally drives them to do the things that needs to be done. These are small things like establishing good habits and caring for their bodies. Now, you might ask how this applies to women liking them. Well, women are bored with men who have too much time and don't seek to naturally improve themselves. When they meet such a man, roles tend to switch and she becomes the one who realizes the things that need to be done, regardless of what's going on in the world or who's winning the elections. You see, a man who follows his purpose and continues to focus on his goals will almost always succeed. You've probably heard the phrase that you cannot keep a good man down. Well, this is exactly why masculine men are so attractive to women. But we can break this one down even further, and you'll see exactly which traits it is that make these men attractive. A masculine man is naturally driven by his purpose and goals, which means he doesn't have the time to engage in bad emotional behavior. Women love these traits, and they find them extremely attractive at the same time. Number 4, constantly focused on improving. The next one also directly ties into the previous secrets, but have you ever seen the personalities and the goals of many masculine influencers? One of the common trends you'll find is that it becomes a lifestyle, and these men not only focus on helping others, but they also seek new and better ways to improve themselves. The reason for this is that masculinity is a very progressive thing, and you need to ensure that you continue to push things to the next level if you are to become better. Yes, this means that it's often best to relinquish some of the weaknesses and pursue goals that make you better. But how does this become attractive to women, you might ask? Well, the answer is rather simple, and it basically stems from what happens if you don't. You see, men who are happy with mediocrity will continue to regress and see the others, who work hard constantly, overtake them and succeed at life. Women love this. Many of you often like saying that it's only money that women are chasing, but the fact of the matter is that you need to make sure you can accumulate some resources. By using all 3 of the previous secrets in this video, these men naturally tend to continue improving themselves themselves and they build their fortune. One of the best examples of this is a man by the name of Jay Waller, who started as a blue-collar worker building himself up. But even though the competition was tough, he was willing to outwork those around him and build something sensible. Number 5. They lead. Leadership is one of the rarest yet important traits in this world. You see, everyone claims to be a leader, and they want to be the first to accept the recognition when things go right. But when it comes to the downsides of life and some of the pitfalls, many men falter, and they would rather cede their positions as leaders. There's an old saying about a captain who always goes down with a ship, which is built on pride, and someone willing to take responsibility for his actions. One thing all masculine men have in common is their ability to not only lead interactions, but be the leaders of people and stand with pride in what they're doing. Women, who are notoriously passive and indecisive, need this leadership as a way of helping them make decisions. Now, this might anger many of you, but it's the truth. One of the reasons that women love leaders is simply because it allows them to do the things they want to do without having to worry about how they get to do them. Women also prefer leaders who will remove the need for them to put in the work. On top of this, psychology has proven that when a man reaches a level where he can naturally lead others, his attraction in the eyes of women will increase significantly. But becoming a leader means that you should be willing and even strong enough to fail. Once you master the art of failure, you can understand that you can stand up from it. Women truly admire this skill, and they'll naturally find it attractive as well. Number 6. Assertive by nature. As part of being a great leader, you also need to be assertive. Being assertive means that you can say that something should be done a certain way and everyone else will listen. The same goes for your communication efforts regarding women and how important it is for you to make women understand what is right and wrong. An assertive man is someone who prefers something to be done in a specific way, and a specific routine needs to be followed to get the same guaranteed results. These men often foresee when things are going south and make tough decisions that others don't like, but carry the responsibility for them. Additionally, an assertive man gives women the opportunity to fall back into their natural feminine nature, and this is where she often feels most comfortable. When women can enter their feminine nature, it's extremely powerful, and they tend to respect their partner. Assertive men also command the respect of other men, which we've already mentioned is very attractive to women. But you should also be a little cautious, as being too assertive might turn some men into villains. You see, some men become so absorbed with power that it becomes a massive frustration for others to be around them. This leads directly to the final aspect of masculine secrets that every woman finds attractive. Number 7. They have balance. Now, with all the hard work done, a masculine man can simply sit back and relax. You see, life's all about balance. At some stage, you need to get out and fight the world in order for you to overcome some of the challenges and to further your own cause. However, a truly masculine man is not always in the state of mind that makes him achieve. At some point, he simply focuses on being capable of doing things and having some fun. This also includes things like humor and being able to make jokes with those around him. By doing this, he shows a completely new layer, and one that women will always know lurks beneath the tough exterior. This allows him to have some balance in his life, which enables others to find him even more attractive as well. By having balance in your life, you're not only improving yourself, but you are slowly but surely increasing your own happiness. What we've learned in life is that the happier a man is, the more fun he can have, whilst having confidence as well. The world is tough, and if you're a weak man, you'll probably be chewed up and spat out by the world. Masculine men offer protection, and they can provide for those around them. But this aura stems from deep within, which is why women find masculine men highly attractive.